I kind of need to have a little bit more charging space here in the office, and thought to myself, why not create a new shelf that we can have all the chargers on from now on. I think it's gonna look good. Right, look at that. I think it looks pretty good. We have the Mavic Air 2, we have the Osmo Action, and the good old Mavic Pro right here. And check this out. I also bought Nerf guns. Ever since I saw Peter McKinnon shooting with a Nerf gun in his office, I think it was like 1.5 years ago, I wanted to have a Nerf gun myself. And now I got two to be able to have some fun here in the office. Oh! I still find it kind of hard to believe that it's 3 years ago since I bought the DJI Mavic Pro. And I still remember the first time that I was going to fly this, and I was so anxious that I was going to crash, but I didn't, which was good. But that happened a couple of years later instead, which is a totally different story. But there's a lot of things that happens in 3 years, and DJI sent me over this bad boy, which is the Mavic Air 2, and it is good. Like, really good. Looking at the controllers, you can see that there's a huge upgrade on the new DJI Mavic Air compared to the old Mavic Pro controller. And to be completely honest, I'm not a huge fan of this controller at all, because you usually never can fit a phone in here because you have a case on the phone and that's not gonna be able to put there, and I never liked this. But this controller, when you put the phone on top, now that is something that I really like. And the best part about this is right here, that they actually have what do you call them? The spakarna into the controller, so that it gets completely flat when you want to put it into the bag, and when you're gonna take it out, you just screw them on there and then you're done, ready to fly. When it comes to the flight time of the Mavic Air 2, DJI states on the website that you can fly for 35 minutes, and I think I capped it out at like 32, but that's really good, because the old Mavic Pro I was able to fly for like 23 minutes, I think. So that's an increase of 10 minutes, even though the Mavic Air actually has a smaller battery. Like, this is the Mavic Air and this is the Mavic Pro, but this is gonna give you a longer flight time, which is pretty insane. Another thing that I really like about this controller is the fact that it charges through USB-C, but also connects to your phone through USB-C, so you don't have to worry about bringing any other different cables than a USB-C cable, and that is golden, especially when all other gadgets that you have is charged through USB-C. The Mavic Air 2 has 2 sensors in the front, 2 in the back, and 2 in the bottom. Right there, you see it? Meanwhile, the Mavic Pro only has 2 in the front and 2 in the bottom, and no sensors in the back. And this is something that I kind of was missing, because when you're flying backwards with your drone, you don't want to risk to like, oh, poof, drive into something. Or do you say drive when you fly a drone? I don't think you do. Fly into something when you're flying backwards to get that perfect shot. Let's see if we can get one of those, like, going really close to the water and then add like helicopter sound, and it's gonna be like to, 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 to. And close to the water. And go. Oh, no. Ooh. Oh, That was a close one. Ah? One of the biggest difference when it comes to the two drones is definitely the camera and the gimbal. Because looking at the gimbal at the old Mavic Pro, it's not that firm and it's a little bit sloppy, and you know, it's not solidly built. But looking at this gimbal, it's a way more sturdy build, and it definitely stays in place, and it feels way more like thought through than the older gimbal. Ready to go, GPS, everything is set, okay. So a couple of things I'm noticing is that this is going a little bit all over the place rather than staying like put when it's hovering. It's going a little bit back and forth. Let's see if we can get some good shots. It is such a huge difference flying the two drones, because this requires way more control and way more practice to actually get some good shots. Meanwhile, the Mavic Air is super easy to fly, and it's gonna, like, when you send it up, it's gonna stand and hover in place without moving a single centimeter, which is totally insane, because I'm so used to like having to have a look on the drone. And with this, it's like that's an issue of the past. And when it comes to the overall maneuverability and like how easy it is to fly, the controls on this one is way more responsive. It's so much easier to get those nice panning shots. It feels like the sticks are designed in a different way to make it so much easier to fly. I don't know what it is, but it feels better. Looking at the propellers, you can also see that they are slightly angled upwards, and that is giving the Mavic Air like a more low-pitched sound when you're flying, so it's not as loud as the Mavic Pro, because the Mavic Air is more like meanwhile the Mavic Pro is more like so it sounds like an angry bee, and this is more like whoa, I'm more determined to Looking at the size difference, you can see that the Mavic Air 2 is just a little bit smaller and not that much, but it actually makes a huge difference when you want to pack it down into a bag, because the Mavic Pro is taking up a lot more space than the Mavic Air. Looking at the camera of the Mavic Air 2, it says that it has 48 megapixels, which is true, but I can't say that I'm overly impressed with the quality when you're taking photos, because I took this photo with the Mavic Air 2, and then I took this very same photo with the Mavic Pro 1, and I do think that the difference from a 12 megapixel photo on the Mavic Pro to a 48 megapixels on the Mavic Air 2 is that big of a difference, so it's going to be worth upgrading to this drone purely for the photography aspect of it. But talking about the video quality, that is where I think that the Mavic Air is shining through a whole lot, because it's way better than it is on the Mavic Pro. One of the biggest issues that I had with the Mavic Pro when I was shooting videos was that it got like a little bit blocky in the shadows. Like it looked like, what do you call them? Like artifacts, huh? And when you're shooting like some dark areas and bright areas in the same video, then you're gonna have some hard time like getting the details in both, because the old sensor didn't manage to do a really good job with like differentiating the bright and the blacks. But that is something that I think has been really improved with the new Mavic Air 2. However, I do still see a little bit of noise like in the shadows on the Mavic Air 2 as well, but it's not like the same artifacts that you had on the Mavic Pro, and if you color grade it, I think it like almost disappears, which is good. So after using the Mavic Air 2 for approximately a week and driving the good old Bettan here, the Mavic Pro as well, I gotta say that the increments that has been done to this drone, especially when it comes to like the maneuverability and overall flight experience, is huge. But when it comes to the camera side, it does feel that this is a Mavic Air and not a Pro, because there has to be a reason why the Mavic Pro has a Pro in its name. So if you're planning on using your drone as a professional for your business, for your videos, like actually selling to clients, I would probably go for the Mavic Pro 2 instead, because that is going to give you way better footage than this drone, mainly because you have the bigger sensor in that drone too. But if you're going to buy your very first drone and you're thinking about buying a used Mavic Pro or a new Mavic Air 2, I would definitely recommend the Mavic Air 2 because this is gonna be much better when it comes to flight experience, when it comes to camera, when it comes to portability, and when it comes to overall design and quality and sensors and all that stuff. But if you're like me and you have the Mavic Pro but you didn't upgrade to the Mavic Pro 2 because you didn't think that the increments were that big, then I would say wait and see what DJI will drop next instead of investing your money into this, because this again is not a pro drone, it's just a really good drone. So there you go, that is my opinion on which one of these that you should choose, and I really hope that you liked this video, and if you did, please do give it a thumbs up because it does make a huge difference, so thanks so much for that. And I would love to hear your opinion, which drone you'd go for, because, you know, would you go for the Mavic Pro 2, or would you go for the Mavic Air, or would you go for, I don't know, maybe, what's its name, like Autel, I think, Evo, Autel Evo? Anyway, drop a comment, and yeah. I guess I will see you in the next video. So Peter from Sweden saying goodbye. Should we do the clap or the snap? I'm gonna go for the snap. Perfectly balanced, as all things should be.